collision ahead of him on the road between two checkpoints, one at the Kalandia refugee camp and the other at the village of Jeb'a. Moments later, Abed received a call from a nephew. "Did Milad go on the outing today? There was an accident with a school bus near Jeb'a." Abed's stomach turned. He left the butcher shop with Hilmi and got into his cousin's silver Jeep. They drove down the hill through the morning traffic, past the teenage boys starting work in the auto body shops with Hebrew signage for Jewish customers, past Milad's school, and then alongside the wall. The road bent around the housing development of the Neve Yaakov settlement and climbed the steep hill to Geva Binyamin, a Jewish settlement also known as Adam, the same name as Milad's older brother. At the Adam junction, soldiers were stopping cars from approaching the accident site, creating gridlock. Abed jumped out of the Jeep. Hilmi, assuming the collision was minor, said goodbye and doubled back. Only the day before, Abed had nearly ruined Milad's chance to go on the trip. It was not through any sort of foresight, just inattention. He'd been with Hilmi in Jericho, standing on the flat, dusty plain of the lowest city on earth, hundreds of feet below sea level, when he got a call from Haifa asking if he'd paid the 100 shekels for Milad's school trip. In fact, he had forgotten. Haifa hadn't wanted Milad to go, but seeing how fervently he wanted to be with his class, she relented. Milad had been talking about the trip for days. When Haifa called, he was buzzing around her parents' home, excitedly awaiting his father's return, eager to go and buy treats. Now it was late. If Abed didn't make it to the school before it closed, Milad wouldn't be allowed on the bus the next morning. It was mid-afternoon, but chilly and overcast, the next day's storm starting to gather. Branches of date palms rustled in the distance. Abed told Hilmi that they had to hurry back. Hilmi was in Jericho on business. He had recently inherited $70,000 and wanted to invest it in land. There was hardly anything left to buy in Anatta, where the Salamas lived. It had once been one of the most expansive towns in the West Bank, a long strip spreading eastward from the tree-lined mountains of Jerusalem down to the pale yellow hills and desert wadis on the outskirts of Jericho. But Israel had confiscated almost all of the land in the area, or made it inaccessible to Abed and Hilmi and the people of Anatta. A town of 12 square miles was now confined to less than a 1 square mile rump. So, Jericho. Hastening to get to Milad's school in time, Abed and Hilmi drove onto Israel's main east-west thoroughfare, Highway 1. They climbed the mountain ridge, passing 3 gated Jewish settlements built on Anatta's land, and the Bedouin shanty town Khan al-Ahmar, spread over a plot owned by Abed's grandfather. Turning onto the Abu George Road, they saw the olive groves that belonged to Abed and his brothers, now taken over by settlers. Next, the route took them near the notorious E1 area, where Israel planned to construct several thousand new housing units and hotel rooms, along with an industrial zone. Finally, ascending the last hill, they passed the Anatot settlement and adjacent military base, also on Salama family land. Entering Anatta, Abed and Hilmi drove to the school building, which was at the very edge of town, right up against the wall. The grounds were quiet and nearly empty. Abed ran through the metal gate and across the AstroTurf lawn to the lobby, telling the secretary he wanted to pay for the trip. "It's too late. We're closed." Abed rushed upstairs, finding a teacher he knew, Mufida. She called the principal, who called the secretary, and Abed went back downstairs to pay, sighing with relief. Milad would go on the trip. It was raining when Abed stepped out of Hilmi's SUV at the Adam Junction. He was wearing the long black coat he had put on in anticipation of stormy weather. The closer he got to the site of the accident, the more anxious he became. His walk turned into a jog.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.